When we read information, it's important we know how to evaluate arguments and claims. We've got to be critical readers. Let's learn to examine informational text carefully so we can decide if a writer's reasoning is valid. When writers make a point, think carefully about the connections they make. Are they making comparisons, showing cause and effect relationships, or providing events in order? It helps if we carefully examine what they're saying. When we think about a claim, when a writer makes a claim, they are stating something usually without evidence or proof. Consider facts in comparison to opinions. When writers state facts, they're giving specific details that are based on proof. But when they give an opinion, it's a judgment or a belief that can't be proved or disproved. Now, evidence or facts. When a writer uses evidence, they're using that factual information to indicate something is true or valid. An eyewitness account is when a writer refers to someone who's been there and seen it happening. They're typically quoting a person, and that's how they can tell about something from a first-hand point of view. And then we have expert opinions. When a writer uses an expert opinion, they are talking about information that someone who is considered an expert or a specialist in a field gives. So let's see how we can apply these ideas to things we read. Here's an excerpt from Strange Tales from Ohio about the town where everyone is in love, Loveland. And this is a document for us to comment on using Now Comment. I want to share the highlighting tools. The highlighting tools give us an opportunity to identify information just for ourselves that's private. The public tools are things that we can all use together. And I've marked the things that we can find to help us be more critical readers. We can look for claims, opinions, evidence or the facts, eyewitness accounts, and expert opinions. I want to start with evidence and facts in this article because I think that it's easy to identify stuff. We can say, I can prove that. I can find support for that. I can look it up later. So I'm going to check this article out. So I finished taking a look at this article, and I feel that these are things that I know can be proven. This is evidence. It just so happened that when the town was laid out in 1850, there were a store and a post office near the railroad tracks run by a man named James Loveland. That's information that can be confirmed and validated. The name Loveland was officially adopted in 1863, and the town was incorporated as a village in 1878. That, too, can be validated. Oddly, parts of the community were located in 3 counties, Hamilton, Claremont, and Warren. I know that to be factual. I live in Claremont, but work at Loveland Schools in Hamilton. We're all a part of the Loveland community. The first year, hundreds of valentines were brought and sent to the Loveland Chamber of Commerce. I believe this can be validated as well because records have been kept to prove this. And then in the last few years, no fewer than 3,000 valentines arrived at the Chamber's office to be given the official stamp of Loveland. That too can be validated with records. This final section here, I also know to be true. I've seen our Valentine lady in our school every year since 1999. So these are some of the facts or evidence that I can find. I'm going to move on to opinions now. So these are some of the things that I felt were just the opinion of the writer, whether or not I agreed. The town didn't get its name because it was founded by a lot of love-struck pioneers. This was a little tricky. I think this is probably more of his opinion. even though he's trying to prove to us that it doesn't have anything to do with the name of Loveland. This piece here about creating some interesting problems for local residents when it comes to getting various permits, I see where that could be true, but I don't feel it creates a problem, so I really don't agree with him, and I think it's just his opinion. And then this part at the bottom, who says we Ohioans aren't romantic? I can strongly agree with that, but it doesn't make it fact. Therefore, it is an opinion. Now I think I'm going to move on to thinking about eyewitness accounts. I really don't believe that the writer was present for any of these things. I just don't know if I have any eyewitness accounts here. He's not really referring to anyone specifically. Expert opinions. I've come to know that this writer writes quite a bit about things that are happening from Ohio, and he's traveled extensively. So I do feel he's pretty much an expert on Ohio, and I really feel that his opinion is expert here, as sometimes happens in a crossword community. I'm going to call that an expert opinion. Let's see, it was swamping the small staff. That could be more of an opinion. A flood of Valentines started coming in. I'm not sure about those. I'm going to have to consider those more carefully. I do feel that they're probably claims. They could be proven. I just don't know. I think that these are probably all claims. This piece right here, I'm thinking that it's probably factual. I'm not sure how to prove it. I'm going to go ahead and mark it as a claim. So you can see, oh, here too. You can see that if I really think carefully about what's going on here, I can be more of a critical reader and decide what can I believe, what might I need to look up for more support. So now that I've highlighted our document, identifying what I feel are claims, opinions, evidence, or facts, and possibly expert opinions, it's now time for you to decide. If I click on the document, I can start a conversation. And I'm going to call this expert opinion. Do you agree or disagree that this is an example of an expert opinion? Okay, how about this one? Opinion of the writer. How might this be an opinion of the writer? Now I've got some facts. Do you agree that this is a fact? Can we prove it with some research? So these are many ways that we can evaluate arguments and claims.